Hey everybody, I'm back. Thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support. The momentum's growing. It's tremendous. I'm really overwhelmed by the amount of people who are reaching out with questions, suggestions, support. I love it. Go to my website, adamgoodwin.ca. There's a couple of links. One of the most important ones is how to contact me. A couple of more which are extremely important as support and volunteer. I do need support. I have on the support page, I have a breakdown of the budget that I want, and as you'll see, it's not cheap. And then at the same time, there's another part where to volunteer. If my message is starting to resonate with you and you love this, you're a planner, you're a fundraiser, you're an event scheduler, and you really want to help out, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And it would mean the world to me for people to sign up and help. So thank you very much. Without further ado, I will jump back into the questions, and hopefully we'll get through this relatively quickly and then get on to the rest of your day. In my messages on my website, I talked about cutting red tape, and I know that's kind of an easy one to just state. So Nicholas asked me, what red tape would you propose to cut, and how's that going to allow for more houses? The biggest red tape items that I find and I know of are land use, rezoning, and development approvals. Developers that I know in Red Deer have talked about delays in navigating the land use bylaw and subdivision processes. And, for example, projects that require municipal planning commission approval, which used to meet weekly, can now take up to 6 weeks to even hit the agenda. So it really starts to add up where the law of unintended consequences comes in. Somebody went, hey, I've got a good way to cut expenses here. We'll meet less. Okay, well, you're cutting expenses here means delays down there, delays down there. And as an operational excellence and an operational professional, I really do try to endeavor to pick out that, okay, what's the domino effect? Another part is excessive paperwork and layered regulations. We've got sometimes federal, but certainly provincial and municipal bylaws and processes that people have to navigate. And once you start overlapping, that creates a big waste space. I understand that things have to meet different standards and you have to have different parts of the machine doing their thing. We have to make sure that we get the teeth of the gears touching and transferring energy appropriately, not covering each other, or worse, doing things entirely twice because you got to do something over here and then hand it over to here. So there's a lot of that, and I can dig in specifically with the city leadership to make sure that I can find really where to pull out those improvements. Another thing I talked about was return to traditional policing. And the question is, what do you mean by traditional policing? I mentioned this earlier in another video. I think that we do need an increased police presence. They need to be able to enforce the laws and just, quite frankly, show people that Red Deer is not a place to come and commit crime. If we have a stronger presence of policing, it's the biggest deterrent. It's unacceptable in this community. You commit a crime, you're going to go to jail, you're going to pay the fines, whatever it is. And it helps build that relationship with the police. When you see them in the community more, you see they're not just this. I had a friend of mine use the term tax collector, and I don't want to slag and say the RCMP are doing it. That's not my point. But that's what somebody's perception is. And when somebody has that perception, we need to address that, because I can guarantee they're not the only one. We need to reiterate this is what they're here for, and this is how it works, and this is how life is better thanks to the protective services. Now, I will also say our numbers are trending in the right direction. I love seeing that. Question though, is the numbers going in the right direction the only indicator? One of the biggest indicators is how safe people feel. Are numbers trending in the right direction because we're sort of developing into this silos where there's a no-go zone? I don't know 100%, and I've tried to dig into statistics to find that. It's a little difficult, but when the residents have a regular interface with the police officers, and let's just be clear, when the criminals have a regular interface with the police officers, you've got a safer community, and people will feel safer, and they will let their kids go out in certain areas by themselves. We all know for a fact that there are certain areas where none of us would let our children or our grandchildren, nieces and nephews go. So, question 10, last one of the questions, and then I'll wrap up for this bit. What do you mean Red Deer should get ahead of the curve on infrastructure? What policy could be implemented? When I say get ahead of the curve on infrastructure, we have growth projections. And I will say that my understanding is those projections usually come with best case, most likely, worst case. Right now, based on areas like the Greater Toronto area, the Metro Vancouver area, all expanding, and quite frankly, forcing people out. Red Deer needs to understand that, sure, they'll go to Calgary, they'll go to Edmonton, but as those markets skyrocket, we're going to get that spillover. Personally, I would rather Red Deer be the city that people come to because they want to come here, because it's a fantastic city, and we have an affordability, and we have a way of life, and we have safe streets. So knowing that this is coming, we have to make sure that we plan to see what it looks like when we're a 150,000 person city. What infrastructure do we need? When we're 200,000, what infrastructure do we need? So what has to get built ahead of time, so then we're not playing catch up, and then we don't have red tape creating delays of a year in some of these neighborhoods. Because we can really foster healthy, sustainable growth by implementing these projects after a solid cost-benefit analysis that will sustain these new neighborhoods. Building infrastructure is a safe use of government money when it's looked at properly. It creates good paying jobs, it allows the community to grow, and it allows us to have better recreation areas because we've planned ahead. We have better safety because we have better lighting, say for instance, and more open walkways. It lowers the cost and it increases the sense of community. So that's where I go with infrastructure: is plan, do, check, act. That'll come up a lot in the way I look at things. It's a very simple model. You plan what you're going to do, and you beat it up. You have to poke holes in it. You have to come into an idea with the thought of, how can I prove myself wrong? What will make my idea fail? And go at that just as hard as you can. So then when you come out to the do stage of that, you've really got a pretty rigorously thought out opportunity. And then while you're doing it, you check and you check and you double check. Am I missing something that could have come up? Was there a world event that's going to change how I can actually even function in the world, as a governance body? So, and then the act on any improvements that you find there, and then you just keep working that circle. So that's it for today. I appreciate it, everybody, and thank you so much again. Like I said, I'm really quite surprised and overwhelmed at how this momentum is growing, and people reaching out on my website, adamgoodwin.ca. I've got Adam Goodwin for Red Deer City Council on Facebook. You can find me there. Share it with your friends in Red Deer. Let's get some support to continue so that everybody understands that what we think we need in Red Deer governance is a strong, financially experienced, operationally experienced, and governance board experienced person to help represent you, to be your voice, and to be here for you. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a terrific rest of your day. Barracuda.